Hello and welcome to Business Unmuted. I'm Graham Robb. Teesside is leading Britain's green revolution from offshore wind to carbon capture and the development of clean hydrogen energy. This follows the recent confirmation of Freeport status for Teesside and a new wind turbine blade manufacturing facility. Today we're discussing the huge opportunities available to the supply chain with Teesside-based businesses. We're joined by Chris McDonald, Chief Executive of the Materials Processing Institute, Steve Pearson, Executive Chairman of Phusion IM, and Gary Milne, Academy Director and North East Technical Lead for Flexitallic. And I think I'm going to start with you, Gary, if you don't mind. Tell us what Flexitallic is and what your presence in Teesside is and how it's going to go forward.
Thanks, Graham. Well, Flexitallic is a global manufacturer of static seals. We've been in the business for over 100 years. We have our headquarters based in West Yorkshire, in Cleckheaton. We are driven by making the world a cleaner, more environmentally acceptable place to live by trying to reduce fugitive emissions. And we've had a global presence for many years, also a Teesside presence via our allied distributor in the area. And now we've decided to reinvest into larger premises in Teesside for manufacturing and specifically application engineering, where I think probably Steve will see the benefit of this, but application engineering and data collection is something that we're very, very focused on, having worked in the offshore sector, the process sector, and specifically in the downstream oil and gas.
Okay, well that's great. And I've been to your facility at Cleckheaton. We've known the firm for a long time at Recognition PR, and it's a big facility. And you make gaskets, really, don't you? But they're not necessarily things you put in the car. They are applied across industry, and they're absolutely crucial, particularly when it comes to controlling emissions.
Yeah, I think we concentrate on trying to keep the aggressive chemicals and everything in the pipework. So we do a range of what we call static seals. Other people know these as gaskets.
Sorry about that. Static seals. Let's get that right.
Well, behind all of this, it's not just a case of supplying gaskets and manufacturing. It's the application engineering behind this. Engineering compliance is vital these days.
Okay.
So this is what we're bringing to Teesside.
And where are you going to put your new facility? Have you made your mind up yet?
Well, we're busy just at the last throes of selecting our premises. Quite exciting time because we're bringing not only the manufacturing process, but also our training academy. So we've recently linked it up with Middlesbrough College in TTE. So we're providing our academy within our facilities on Teesside also.
That's great. Let's bring in Chris McDonald from MPI, the Materials Processing Institute. Chris, that's a great story, isn't it? And I know you're dealing with a lot of planning because you give specialist reports and specialist research in your facility at Southbank. You tell us about what you're doing in a moment, but what's your view on Flexitallic's story? Is this typical? Is it something that's the real deal for more than just Flexitallic, other firms too?
Yeah, thank you, Graham. It's good to be here, and yeah, hearing Gary's story, I think this is very typical of what we see. You know, people coming to Teesside, investing in Teesside because of the great skills we've got, but also the real heritage around engineering and chemicals. And we've seen some fantastic announcements in the last week or so that absolutely build on this, but then also are moving Teesside forward to be the powerhouse for the green industrial revolution as well. So you think about some of these investments in generation of hydrogen, carbon capture and storage, that's building on our chemicals industry. In wind turbines, GE producing 190 wind turbines from that facility to go out into offshore over the next couple of years, building on our engineering capability. And I actually think a lot of that comes together in the supply chain when you look at the recent announcement around a hydrogen decarbonisation centre for transport in Teesside as well. It actually brings all of those things together. So for me, it's great to see the investments, but it's really good to see the whole supply chain being joined up around these capabilities.
It's great to see businesses locating in Teesside, but you are one of those businesses, and I know that when we get to talk to Steve as well, which is taking the products from Teesside out. And in your case, it's know-how and expertise.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So we provide innovation services primarily for the foundation industries, the metal sector, and we're developing new technologies which then become industry standard around the world. So our engineers install new digital technologies or new technologies for improving productivity or reducing carbon in steel and metals plants around the world. And it's our know-how that delivers that from the good sort of skills base that we've got in the region.
All right, let's move to Steve. You're an Indigenous business, Steve. You've been going quite a while, well known to many people in the business community in Teesside, a sort of tech firm, but it outreaches in a specialist way to business. What difference is the spate of announcements in the recent months about our local economy making to your firm?
I think, first of all, hi everyone, and it is fantastic to see more investment in this region, which is really good. And I think the fact that, as Gary and Chris have alluded to, we're actually we're working on a global stage, and we find it quite frustrating that all of the skills and talents that we apply on a global stage, we don't really apply locally. So this gives us a chance really to apply our trade locally. We obviously have been working on major projects, creating a digital twin. And obviously on these projects, which are the investments in the tens of billions, we can get down to pipes and joints, and then from joints we get into gaskets. And that's where Gary and ourselves tie up really nicely. Because obviously on a multi-billion project, there's lots of gaskets or, seals. Likewise, Chris has mentioned metallurgy, in the growing trend and different techniques. And obviously the metallurgy is rife within the process industry, and you get corrosion and all sorts of things. So collectively, we've all got a lot of talent, and having like the industry coming to us, and investment in this region is great because we've got that local presence to support the industry.
Is it making a difference to employment at your firm?
Not yet, really. To be fair, we're still embedded in working for a global super major. And obviously it's things like this where we start to get introduced to what's going on. There are opportunities. We do a lot of work on robotics where we're got leading people, doing things for the super majors. And there's opportunities there for the region if we can collaborate and see and bring people together and support the industry digitally.
Okay, well, I'm going to give the last word probably to Gary, and also maybe just a quick answer as well from Chris. Gary, Chris, what do you think is the most significant of the announcements that you've heard in the recent weeks that has drawn your attention and your investment prowess?
I think all of the recent news just underpins Flexitallic's strategy to invest in the Teesside area at a time of maybe, unknown sort of strategic visions to do with COVID and Brexit. We made this decision before the excellent news about Freeport and hydrogen transport, etc.
So an underlying feel-good factor, is that what it is?
Yes, it is. It's the feel-good factor, and it's what Steve and Chris have alluded to. It's the people of the region. It's the training, the expertise that we've got. I think we look back in probably 30 years' time and think this is the time the revolution started in terms of the change in Teesside.
Chris?
So we're back where we need to be.
Last word to you.
For me, Graham, the most key investment is the one in hydrogen and carbon capture and storage. The world's moving away from oil. It will move to hydrogen. Businesses will invest in places that have that infrastructure, and Teesside is now one of those places.
Well, look, thank you very much to all of you. Well, let's keep Teesside going and keep it on the map. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Bye.